IPL Radio, inspiring passionate lives for the community.
Hello IPL community, and I am here today with my special guest Mike Mackay, who is an author, one of my authors, and we have a lot of interesting conversations. So here we are, you are going to come and join us for one. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Karen. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So Mike, it's a big week for you. We've got you're moving to Rockingham this week, and then we're setting you up with a big library event on Thursday night at the Rockingham Library.
Right, so we move into Shoalwater tomorrow.
Yes.
And then complete the rest of the move the following day.
There we go. And Thursday night at the Rockingham Library at 5:30 to 6:30, you can get to come along and chat to Mike, and I'll be there interviewing him. And we're going to be speaking about his first novel, Scam at Old River, and also your poetry collection, Messages, and we're also doing a cover reveal for book 2 of this series, and you're writing book 3, so you are a busy man.
Yes, I should. If I can just add about the poetry / photography book.
Yes.
Which I did in collaboration with my son Matthew.
Yes.
He had I've been working as a teacher in Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
I did over 1,000 photographs, and you asked me to pull out some poems, and I scratched in the covers and came up with 60, and eventually we managed to match 40 poems to 40 photographs.
Out of 1,000.
So there was a few robust discussions in our household about
robust. That's the word.
So what should go with what? But anyway, Messages is a trilogy, so there's 2 more to come, and the Scam series. The first one's Scam at Old River. The next one's Scam at 5 Mile Road.
Yes.
And the other one I've got to work on, Scam at.
Yeah.
I don't know, watch this space.
It's always fun, isn't it? Getting Scam at what? The Scam series. So, Mike, you recently discovered that you have a writer in your family. Can you share with us a bit about that?
Oh, yes. I was, that website Ancestry. So my cousin she's married to a dairy farmer, lives over in Kangaroo Valley in New South Wales, and she's the one who puts all our ancestry down. It
takes time, doesn't it, to gather all that information, put it out there?
I think dairy farmers are busy in the morning and the evening.
Okay, so they got the rest of the day.
Got a bit of a
but it's fascinating, isn't it, what you can discover? And you discovered that your calling to writing was not just out of the blue. You actually have it.
My great-great-grandfather's brother.
There we go.
And his name was Wallace Mackay.
Well, that is a name, isn't it?
It is. And so he used to, if you all recall that back in the day, all the newspapers, the old Reader's Digest came out with illustrations.
Yes. That
was the main thing he did. He started off doing illustrations for magazines, like the old British one called Punch and those sort of one. And then he did a travel log.
Yes.
About his trips into Mozambique.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't called that. It was called Travels with the Portuguese in East Africa. That's what it's called, but you think, oh, hang on, this is Mozambique.
Yeah. So he's well-travelled, and Reader's Digest, wow, that's pretty prestigious to be writing for Reader's Digest. Can you imagine all those years ago?
Yeah.
You're pretty well-travelled yourself, though, weren't you, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I think, well, look, I was born in Sydney, but I left here when I was 27 and lived for 43 years overseas. So most of those times my residence was in South Africa, but I've worked on all the continents and lots of places.
And in corporate, really, aren't you? You're high-end in...
yeah, that was my background, So I still do it. Still spend about 4 hours a day doing that. But
so all of those 43 years, were you researching for these novels? Because you bring real-life experiences into these books, don't you?
Yes. Well, I heard a good expression fairly recently, is that... And the expression was... What's the one? That's a double negative. So
okay. I'm not a
double negative. What is the one thing you can't not do? Let me say that again. What is the one thing you can't not do? Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you've just turned it into a positive, haven't you?
No. Well, I take my wife's example. She's a medical doctor.
Yes.
She can't help but help people.
Yeah.
If she's somewhere by the side of the road, we even saw somebody. A big eagle flew into a car.
Yes.
Okay. So we had to drive 10 k's further down to the next off ramp, come back, and then help the other lady who was there capture it and put it back in take it to the vet.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, if you ask anybody that question,
yes.
When I've always got up in the morning, I scribble.
Mm-hmm.
So poems, short stories, bits of novels. So only when we came back here did I really have an opportunity to have the time in the morning to actually do it, and maybe just put it all these scribbles and notes together.
Yes.
And make books out of them.
Yeah.
And some of them I had to reposition in other countries, because even though they're based on actual events, I can't actually say the actual events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there could be a bit of a legal thing there happening.
Tad, yeah.
But that makes it even more fascinating. And let's say Scam at Old River, it was initially set in Sydney, wasn't it? And then you moved it to the Sydney variation of
Sydney, which is San Francisco. Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
City.
See, sister city. I didn't know that until Mike.
Sister city. Yeah.
Yeah.
All cities have got a sister. So that's where I moved to. But I've been there a number of times on conferences and the like, and all the places I travel to, I do a lot of walking. Yeah. And San Francisco is not that big to walk around. It's not as big as other cities.
Well, I can't say because I haven't been there, but
a few trams in. It's uphill and down Dale as you walk around, but it's not that large. So I have a good feel for the place. So it was actually quite easy to transition it, and I did it under advisement to move it, because it's a more recognisable place internationally. Then you start telling people about Woolloomooloo and well, they won't resonate with it.
Absolutely, and if you want to hit a US market as a crime writer, it makes good sense, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
But good to base it on the familiar. Can you share with us the main character in Scam, your Scam series? Can you share a little bit with our audience about him?
Okay, so he's a bit of a fractured character. So his parents were killed when he was 5 years old by a drunk hit-and-run driver. I think a lot of people can resonate or know when those sort of things have happened to people they know. And he was 5 years old in the back, and was there for a while before anybody arrived. And as a result, he wound up with PTSD. So as a result of that, he has what you could also call a fractured limbic system. Now, I don't know whether you know too much about the limbic system, but when suddenly somebody will throw a ball, it's going to hit your child in the face, and you reach out and you grab it. Yes. And you think, how did I do that? That's your limbic system kicking. So that's the two.
Your wealth of knowledge. I always learn something new. There you go.
The fractured part of him. So as a result, he's inclined to impulsive violence. So he has to keep training, so he does martial arts of different types. And he has people around him like his cousin, and who's a cop in San Francisco Police Department. But he's also a lawyer, so he heads up a specialised unit, and we never really know what this unit is.
It's always handy to have those people on side when you've got anger issues.
Yes. Okay? And another guy's a big sergeant too there, and he's the martial arts instructor for the SFPD, and he drills him, teaches him what to do to keep everything in check until injustice comes along, and then all hell breaks loose.
As it does. And that's why your novels just bring us on a journey, and just readers will just Scam has been received well, and then Scam at 5 Mile Road continues the journey. And can we just talk a little bit of a second around the cover that we're going to be revealing for Scam at 5 Mile Road, and where the coincidence that the image that was used on your next cover was actually...
Yes, yeah. So this first scam was all about real estate. Now I've done a lot of... The second one is about a manufacturing company. Okay. Now I did a lot of consulting work in manufacturing companies, particularly automotive. So I thought, where's the most recognisable place in the world for cars? Well, it's Detroit.
Of course.
So I found a little town just outside Detroit called Plymouth, Michigan, and I based it there. That's where I set it there. So it's near to another recognisable place called Ann Arbor, and I set it there because once you get inside a factory anywhere in the world, they're the same.
Yeah,
they're the same.
Can't see outside.
Okay? So there has been some serendipitous moments in the writing and telling my friends about this. A friend of mine back in South Africa, he's he was the CEO for Africa for SAP.
Yes.
And at Plymouth, there's a little airport. And I was telling him about it, and there's an airport. And he says to me, I've been there. That's impossible. It took me ages to select it. But he said, no. He said, we're supposed to be flying to Detroit. And we couldn't get in. So we landed there. I thought, wow, I was getting goosebumps. You know?
There you go. See?
I'm getting them again, telling you this story.
Yeah.
You know? So there's been a lot of serendipitous moments like that in telling people about
those story. Things happen to let you know that you're on the right track with everything.
I think so,
and then the cover as well, the actual image that was chosen.
Yes. So I was sent a number of covers by Dylan, and then as usual, the gang of three. That's my son was the photographer, and my wife. We adjudicated them, and we said that's the one we want. And then when I said to Dylan, that's the one, he said that's the only one that was from Michigan.
From Michigan, see, so you just knew. You just knew. And so you've just finished the edits of book 2. They've gone back. You're moving house with. How do you do it? And you are going through your edits and moving house at the same time. Just a multitasker in a man, that's impressive.
Yeah, we just have to keep plodding along, just keep plodding along.
Plodding along, writing books at 5 a.m. in the morning. You were the only, one of the other people in the world that I know that gets up at 5 a.m. to write, because that's when I do my best writing as well, is at 5 a.m. in the morning.
I think it's
highly recommended, people.
I do too. Well, I just happen to be sharper first thing in the morning.
And you're close. Your analytical brain doesn't kick in until you're getting into.
Also, I'm awake. As soon as I hear the birds, I get up.
Yeah. You may as well do something productive. Write your novels.
But then I wake up and I make coffee, and what's the one thing I can't not do? I can't not write.
Yes, there you go.
So sometimes it doesn't. I never suffer from writer's block. And I picked up a thing from, who was it? I think it was Hemingway. You never finish off at the end of a chapter. You never finish off with something finished like the end of a chapter.
Yeah, because you keep going.
You always finish off where you know that you haven't finished all of it. So when you open up the next day and look and go, oh yeah, I know what's supposed to happen here. Yeah. And then you're into it from the get-go.
Because your subconscious mind is always working.
Yeah.
Even if you're not focused on that task, you're ready.
And often it's changed as well. Because when I look at it, I go, hang on. And it just sort of drifts off on its own little path.
Yeah. See, there you are. You got some writing advice from the great Mike Mackay. Mike, so that's your novel series, and you're working on book 3 at the moment, which is wonderful. So as if writing 3 novels in a year. Now, may I just highlight that? No. Is not is no mean feat. You're actually doing poetry as well. So on Thursday night we're going to be showcasing Messages, which is book 1, which is your collaboration with your amazing son Matthew Mackay, who done these amazing images, all 1,000 of them in Singapore, and the cover on
Shanghai.
Oh, Shanghai. Sorry, Shanghai, and they're just amazing, and the images in this book just match the poem so well. So how you made that all happen, I remember that journey you were on of selecting, but it's turned into this visual gift for the world, really, hasn't it?
It has, and we're now working on what we're going to do for the next book.
You like to have a theme, don't you?
We have to have a theme. Well, I think, the first one came about because, I was telling him how you asked me to put together a poetry book. And then he's had all these photographs. So I'd seen a lot of them, and he said he wants to make a photography book. Mm-hmm. So it seemed a pretty obvious thing. I said, why don't we collaborate?
Absolutely.
So it's sort of
a meeting of minds.
Not a bad idea. Drifted along into what we wound up with.
Yeah.
But now we've got to find another
visual thing,
another visual place to take the photographs. I think where he was in Shanghai.
Yes.
Is that there's visually it's
and colourful and
visually there's lots of things to see in China. I mean, I was in Guangzhou just before COVID hit for a couple of weeks, but it's a different culture. And I think it's obviously, but there's just some things about it that are so different to us, and to match them up to a poem. So we have to find another theme, you say, which is generally also a locale.
Yeah.
So that's our next.
It'll be fun making that happen.
Yeah.
But remember, whenever I met you and you were sharing your poems, and you remember you used to overthink. You just have this natural ability of bringing a poem to life. It just comes out of you, this poetic thing, and then you start to analyze it and change it and stuff. But actually, what would come out of you, as your lovely wife would let you know, is don't overthink things, just go with it.
Quite vociferously, yeah.
Yes, and just to embrace your talent and just share it with the world. And you eventually did that and shared your poetry with the world. So kudos to you.
It's actually an interesting thing, because I'll have to look it up there, but there's a Japanese word for this, where something is not quite perfect, but in its slight imperfection is where the true beauty actually lies.
Absolutely.
And there's some people, they make pottery in Japan, which is not perfect deliberately.
Yes.
Okay, and you look and you think, there's a flaw there. Look at that. That's not quite round, but it was done like that.
Yeah. So it's so that it's absolutely unique.
And it's like it just takes it to another level.
Absolutely. And that's what we like to embrace, and it means that you get to stand out on your own light and your own shadow. You know what I mean? Just be you. And on Thursday night, I don't know if you know this, at the time when we're doing your launch, it's actually the MMH Press Poetry Night. So we'll be streaming your poem live into the MMH Press Poetry Night as well. So that'll be fun. Hey?
Okay. Well, no, that will be definitely will be fun. Yeah.
So we can get some of those poets in on the night as well. Well, thank you so much for jumping in or coming in today on a bank holiday, I must stress. I really appreciate it, to chat with me and let our readers know about you and your amazing books. I highly recommend that you check out Mike Mackay. What's your website? www.mikemackay.com?
And MikeMackayAuthor.com.
MikeMackayAuthor.com, sorry. And go there and check out some of the fun things that Mike's doing, and also on your socials on Facebook and Instagram. Yes. Yeah, and you can check them out on LinkedIn too. Where do you want people to message you, Mike? Facebook?
Facebook would be the best thing.
Awesome, on your author page. Come and like it. We want to get those likes up because we want to share this author wider with the world. Okay. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining me.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for the time.
And
Bye-bye.
we are going to listen to China in Your Hands by Tapao.